We continue now at the top of Daf Yomi Aleph and Meseches Makkos. This is Makkos Daf 10a. On the previous summit, the Gemara asked, why is it that in Ever HaYarden there are 3 Arei Miklat? There's only 2 Shvatim that live be'Ever HaYarden on the other side of the Yarden. But in Eretz Canaan, where all the rest of the Shvatim are, there it's also the same amount of Arei Miklat. It's 3 Arei Miklat. It doesn't make sense. And the Gemara continues and answers that when it comes to Ever HaYarden, there were a lot of rotzchim, there were a lot of murderers. T'chsiv, as it's written in the Pasuk, there's a Pasuk in Hosea, it says, Gilad Kiryas Po'alei Oven. It says Gilad was a place, it was full of people who committed sin. Akuva midam, it was covered in blood, and so therefore, since there was a lot of murderers in that area, in the area of Gilad, there were a lot of murderers. That's why it was necessary to have the same number of Arei Miklat. And the Gemara continues, "My akuva midam." What is this expression, akuva midam? Amar Rebbe Elazar says, "Shayu okvin laharug nefashos." They would set up ambushes in order to kill people. And the Gemara continues, "Umayshna mehai gisa demarachke." Why is it that if a person, let's say, is on the border, it's going to be a long distance to get to the closest Ir Miklat? Umayshna mitziyoi, but in the middle of the country, in the middle area of the Arei Miklat, to Mekarvi, it's going to be much closer, because let's say you're midway between 2 Arei Miklat, that's going to be half the distance. And the Gemara answers to that. Amar Abai says, "B'Shchem nami shrichi rotzchim." In Shchem also there was a lot of murderers. T'chsiv, as it's written in the pasuk. This is a pasuk right there in the same area in Sefer Hosea. The pasuk says, "Ukechake ish gedudim chever kohanim derech yirtzuchu Shchem." It talks about the murder derech yiratzchu Shchem, the murder that takes place by Shchem. And the Gemara says, "My chever kohanim." What is the pasuk referring to when it says chever kohanim, the getting together of kohanim? And the Gemara says it means as follows. Amar Rebbe Elazar says, "Shayu mischabrin laharug nefashos." They would gather together in order to kill people. That's what the pasuk is talking about. Kikohanim halalu, just like these kohanim, shemischabrin lachlok trumos bebeis hagranos, that in the granary they would gather together in order to divide up the truma. And the Gemara continues, "V'su lekar." There are no other Arei Miklat. You're saying there are 6 Arei Miklat and that's it. V'aksiv, but it's written in the pasuk. This is in Sefer Bamidbar. It says, "V'aleim titnu arboim ushtayim ir," that upon them you're going to add on another 42 cities. So there's a lot of Arei Miklat. And the Gemara says, Amar Abai says, "Halalu koltos bein ladas bein shalo ladas." When it comes to these 6 major Arei Miklat, those protect the person whether he's there with intention or whether he's there without intention. He doesn't even realize. But halalu, when it comes to the other cities, these 42 cities, ladas koltos, if the person is there with the intention, he understands that he's there for refuge, then it provides refuge. Shalo ladas, but if it's without knowledge, ein on koltos, then they do not provide refuge. But the Gemara continues, "V'chevron ir miklatu," as Chevron really one of the cities of refuge. V'aksib, but it's written in the pasuk, "Vayitnu lekalev es Chevron kasher diber Moshe," that Chevron was given over to Kalev. It seems like it was a city that belonged to Kalev. And the Gemara answers, Amar Abai says, "Parvadah." What that's referring to is the suburbs. The suburbs were given over to Kalev. T'chsiv, as it's written in the pasuk, "V'esteho ir v'eschatzereho nasnu lekalev ben Yefuna." It says the fields of the city, those areas were given to Kalev ben Yefuna. And the Gemara continues and asks, "V'kadesh Ir Miklat Havoy," was Kadesh really one of these cities of refuge? V'aksib, but it's written in the pasuk, "V'ori mivsar atzidim tsar v'chamos rekes v'kineres v'kadesh v'edrei v'ein chatzar." It's describing over here in the pasuk the various fortified cities, and it says these Ori mivsar atzidim tsar chamas rakas kineres Adama, Harama, Chatzar, Kedesh, which is referring to Kadesh, Edrei, and Ein Chatzar. These are all fortified cities, major cities. Vitanya, but we learned in a Braisa, Aram Halalu, when it comes to these cities, meaning when it comes to the Arei Miklat, Ein Osan Osan Lotir and Ketanim, V'lo Krachim Gedom. They shouldn't be such small villages. They shouldn't be large cities. Ela Ayaros Beinonios. They should be intermediate cities. They should be cities of medium size. And so therefore it sounds like from the pasuk that Kadesh is a major fortified city. How can that be an Ir Miklat? And the Gemara says, Amar Rav Yosef says, Tarti Kadesh Havai. There were actually 2 places called Kadesh. Amar Rav Ashi says, Kagon Slikum v'Akra de Slikum. It's similar to Slikum and then the fortified Slikum. There were 2 of them. The fortified one, again, that was a major city. That was not one of the Ir Miklat. But then the smaller one, that was the one that was the Ir Miklat. That was the one that was the city of refuge. And the Gemara continues, Gufa, returning to what we said above. Arim halalu, these cities, the Arei Miklat, Ein Osan Osan, Lotir and Ketanim, V'lo Krachim Gedolim, Ela Ayaros Beinonios. Again, you don't have them. They're not small towns. They're not very large cities. Rather, they're medium cities. Ve'ein Moshivan Osan Ela B'makom Mayim. They should only be in a place where there's water. Ve'mein Sham Mayim. And if there is no water, Mevi'en Lahem Mayim. You have to bring them water. Ve'ein Moshivan Osan Ela B'makom Shvakim. You can only have them in places with a marketplace. Ve'ein Moshivan Osan Ela B'makom Uchlesin. And it has to be in a place with a multitude of people. people. Nismatu uchlasei, and if the multitude, if that's diminished, mosifan alei, and you have to add to them. Nismatu diurei, and let's say it's the people living there gets fewer. Mevi'in lahem kohanim, leviim v'Yisraelim. You have to bring their kohanim, leviim, and Yisraelim. Ve'in mochen behen. You cannot sell in these cities lochle zayin v'lochle mitzuda. You can't sell weapons. You can't sell traps. Divrei Reb Nechemia. These are the words of Reb Nechemia. V'chachamim atirin, but the chachamim say that that's mutter. You can sell those items. V'shavin, but they all agree she'in parson b'sochan mitzudos, that you can't lay traps over there. Ve'in mafshilin l'sochan chavolim, and you also don't lay over their ropes. Kedei shalote regel goel hadam mitzuyasham, because that way it will prevent the feet of the goel hadam from being found over there. He's not going to be in that area. And Rashi explains, b'makom uchlasin, it has to be a place with a lot of people, sheyihu kfarim v'yishav, that there should be villages and settlements smuchim them that are close to them. Shelo yavo go'alei hadam merubim aloyer b'chayil. That way you won't have a lot of go'alei hadam. Again, these are the relatives of the person that got killed. They want to get revenge. They shouldn't all come upon the city as an army. Klei zayin, you shouldn't sell weapons. Shelo yikna go'al hadam, that the go'al hadam shouldn't purchase sham zayin. He shouldn't purchase weapons over there. V'yarog, and then he'll kill. Shem yavi klei zayin mimakomo. If he's going to bring weapons from his place, Yargishubo, then they'll already be aware. Uchlei mitzuda, and traps, afbahem, horgan chayos, these are also used to kill wild animals. Again, all of these things should not be in the city. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rabbi Yitzchak says, Mikra, what is the pasuk that indicates that you should do all of these things for the city? And the Gemara says, the pasuk says, V'nasal achas min harim el v'chai. It says he's going to run, he's going to flee to one of these cities, and he will live. Avid le'midi d'tahavi le'chiyusa. You have to set up the city in a way that is conducive for having a proper life. And the Gemara continues, Tana was taught, Talmud Shagola, if a student, if he's exiled, Megalin Rabo Imo, so his Rebbe is also exiled together with him, he should be together with his Rebbe. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk V'chai, again it says that he should live there. Avid le'midi d'tahavi le'chiyusa, you have to set it up in a fashion, again, that's conducive for really living there. And the Gemara continues, Amar Reb Zeira says, Mikan, from here we learn, Shalei Yishana Adam L'Talmud She'eino Hagan, a person shouldn't teach a student who's not proper, because if you teach a student who's not proper, he might end up going into exile, and then again the Rebbe is going to have to follow. And the Gemara continues, Amar Reb Yochanan says, Harav Shagola, let's say a Rebbe is exiled, Megalin Yeshivaso Imo, so his whole yeshiva should be exiled together with him. The Gemara says, Ini, is that really true? V'amar Reb Yochanan, but didn't Reb Yochanan say, Minayin l'divrei Torah shein kolten, from where do we know that divrei Torah, that they provide protection, they provide a refuge? Shenemar, as it says, as Betzar B'midbar, talks about Betzar B'midbar, talks about the various Arim Miklot, Chsib Basrein, it's written after that, V'zos HaTorah, that this is the Torah. The Torah is the equivalent of something that can give protection. And the Gemara says, Lo kasha, that's not difficult. But with the Torah, it's only at the time that you're actually learning it. But at a time that you're not learning the Torah, it doesn't provide protection. That's why it's important to go to the Ir Miklat. V'ba is saying, but the Gemara says, if you want, I could say, my kolton. What does it mean, kolton? When it says that divrei Torah protect, that's mimalach hamavis. That's from the angel of death. That's not talking about from the goel hadam. Kihad Rav Chisda, it's like the incident with Rav Chisda Havayasa Vigaris Bevei Rav. He was sitting and learning in the yeshiva of Rav. V'lo havakayachol shlicha de malacha de mosa lemikrav lagabei, and the agent, the malach hamavis, wasn't able to get close to him. To lo havashasik pume migirsa, because he didn't stop learning. Solik v'yaseh va'arza de Rav. Then he went up and he sat on the cedar of the yeshiva of Rav, Paka Arza, and the cedar it split, V'shasik, and he was quiet for a moment, V'yachale, and then the Malach HaMavis was able to overcome. And the Gemara continues, Reb Tanchum bar Chaniloi says, why is it that Ruvain, he's counted in the saving first? The reason is because he began the saving first, as the Gemara now explains. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, Vayishma Ruvain vayatzileu miyadam. It says that Ruvain heard and he saved him from their hands, and so therefore, since he engaged in the saving, that's why he's mentioned first. Rashi over here explains, Limanos b'hatzola tchila shepasach hakasav bo b'yarei miklat tchila. It's in his territory that we first list the yarei miklat, and so therefore, why do we do that? We do that because he was the first to save with regards to the episode of Yosef. And the Gemara continues, Darash Rabbi Simloi, Darshan Ma'idachsiv. What does it mean when it's written in the pasuk? Az Yavdil Moshe Shalosh Arim be'Ever HaYarden Mizrach HaShamesh. It says that Moshe separated 3 cities on the other side of the Yarden in the east, and it says the east by the sun. Amar Lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu Moshe, what the pasuk means to say is as follows: HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe, Hazrach Shemesh L'Rotzchem, you should shine the sun for the murderers, meaning you should give them some hope by providing for them these cities of refuge. There are those that say Amar Le, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to him, Hizrachta Shemesh L'Rotzchem, that you have shined the sun for the murderers, again by providing them this measure of hope. And the Gemara continues, Darash Rab Simoy Darshan Ma'idich Siv. What does it mean when it's written in the pasuk? Ohev Kesef Lo Yispa Kesef, Umei Ohev Behamon Lo Tavua. Somebody who loves silver, he'll never get enough silver. Somebody who loves a lot, it's not going to be enough for him. Ohev Kesef Lo Yispa Kesef. What does it mean? He loves silver, he doesn't get enough silver. Zem Moshe Rabbeinu. This refers to Moshe Rabbeinu. Shaya Yodeya She'in Shalosh Arim Shebe'ever Hayarden Koltos, because he knew that the 6 cities on the other side of the Yarden, they would not provide protection. Ad Shalo Nivchru Shalosh Be'eretz Canaan, until the 3 that were separated and chosen in Eretz Canaan. And so there was really no point of separating them before they got into Eretz Canaan. V'amar, but nevertheless he said, Mitzvah Shabal Yodi Akaimen, if the mitzvah comes to me, I'm going to fulfill it. I will designate these 3 cities. U'miyoev behamon lo tavua. What does it mean, miyoev behamon lo tavua? It means l'min noah l'lamed behamon. Who is it good that this person should teach a multitude? Who should merit to teach in public? Misha kol tavua shalo. We darshan it to mean anybody who has all of the tavua, all of the grain, meaning a person should know everything, not just some of the Torah, in order to teach the multitudes. V'hainu damar Rebbe Elazar, and that's what Rebbe Elazar says. Ma'idich Siv, what does it mean when it's written in the pasuk? Mi yamal al gvuras Hashem yashmiya kol teilaso. Who is going to speak the gvuras Hashem, the mighty things of Hashem, and say and let it be heard all of His praises? We understand that the same way. L'mi noel l'mal al gvuras Hashem. Who is it fit that he should speak the gvuras Hashem, the might of Hashem? Mi sheyachol lahashmiya kol teilaso. Somebody who's able to allow it to be heard all of His praises. Again, somebody who knows all of it. And the Gemara continues, V'Rabbanan v'Tema Rabba bar Mari Amar, and the Rabbanan, and some say Rabba bar Mary says, Mi ohev behamon lo tavua. The way to understand the pasuk is somebody who loves the multitude, to him is tavua, to him is the grain, and that means to say, Kol ha'ohev behamon lo tavua. Anybody who loves the Torah scholars, to him he will have the grain. He will have sons who are Torah scholars. And Yavu be Rabbanan enayu berava brei de Rabba. The Rabbanan, they set their eyes on Rava, the son of Rabba. He had this trait. He loved the Talmidei Chachamim, and he had children who were Talmidei Chachamim. And the Gemara continues, Rav Ashi says, Kol ha'ohev lilmod behamon. What the pasuk actually means is, anyone who loves to learn with multitudes, lo tavua, to him he will have the grain. V'hainu d'yamar Rabbi Yossi Reb Chanina, and that's what Rabbi Yossi Reb Chanina said. It's the same idea as the following. Ma'idich Siv, what does it mean when it's written in the pasuk? This is in Sefer Yirmiyahu. Cherev el habadim v'noalu. What does it mean that the sword is to the badim? It means as follows. Cherev al tzavori soneyam shal Talmidei Chachamim. There should be a sword on the necks of the enemies of the Talmidei Chachamim. That's a euphemism, but it's referring to those sheyoshvin ve'oskin b'Torah bad bebad. This is referring to those who sit and they learn Torah all alone. A person should learn Torah with other people and not do it all alone. That's what that pasuk means, and that's the same idea as Rav Ashi, that one who loves to learn behamon, who loves to learn with people, lo tavua, to him will be the grain. V'lo, and not only that, they actually become foolish when they learn all alone, because ksiv hacha, because it's written over here v'noalu. It uses the word v'noalu in the pasuk we just quoted above. Uchsiv hasam, and it's written over there asher noalnu. That's referring to asher noalnu v'asher chatanu. Also, it's referring to acting in a foolish way. V'lo, not only that, shachotin, they'll even sin. Shenemars, it says, as we just mentioned, it says at the end of the pasuk asher noalnu v'asher chatanu, and that we have sinned. And the Gemara continues, if you want, I could say mehacha from here, from the following pasuk, we can see the definition of noalu. The pasuk says, noalu saret tzoan. It says the officers of tzoan, they have sinned. That's a pasuk in Yeshayahu. And the Gemara continues with another interpretation. Ravina says, kol ha'oev lelamed behamon. Anybody who loves to teach in the multitudes, lo tavua, to him will be the grain. And the Gemara explains, v'hainu dama Rebbe. That's what Rebbe said. Harbe Torah lamadati me rabosa. I learned a lot of Torah from my teachers. Yoser mehem, from my colleagues, I learned more from them, from what I learned from my teachers. Umi talmida yoser mikul, and I learned the most from my students. That's the idea. If somebody loves to teach behamon, lo tavua. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says, Ma'idich Siv, what does it mean when it's written in the pasuk? There's a pasuk in Tehillim, Omdos hayu ragleinu b'sharayach Yerushalayim. We stood in your gates, Yerushalayim. Migaram l'ragleinu sheyamdu b'milchama. Who caused that our feet should be able to stand in war? Shara Yerushalayim. It was those by the gates of Yerushalayim, shayu oskim b'Torah, that they were learning Torah. V'yamar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, and Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says, Ma'idich Siv, what does it mean when it's written in the pasuk? Also in Tehillim, Shir hamalos leDavid samachti ba'omrim li beis Hashem neilech. He says that I am happy. David HaMelech says, I'm happy when they say to me, go to the house of Hashem. Amar David lefnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. David says before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ribono Shel Olam, Master of the world, Shamati b'nei Adam shayu omrim. I've heard people that they were saying, Masa yom muzakein. When will this old man die? V'yavo Shlomo beno, and Shlomo his son will come. V'yivne beis habechira, and then he will build the beis hamikdash. V'nala l'regel, and then we'll go up to the regel, will go up for the holiday to the Beis HaMikdash. V'samachti, and I was happy. That's what David HaMelech said. I was happy, even though they were saying that it was my time to die, but they wanted it for the Beis HaMikdash, so I was happy about that. Amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu said back to him also from a pasuk in Tehillim, Ki tov yom b'chatzeirecha me'elef, one day in your courtyard is better than 1,000, and what that means is tov li yom echad shata osek b'Torah, it's better for me, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, one day that you, David HaMelech, are learning Torah. Lafanai, it is better before me. Me'elef olos she'asad Shlomo bincha lahakriv lefanai al gabe mizbeach, from 1,000 carbon olas that in the future Shlomo your son will bring before me on the mizbeach. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. The Mishnah said, "Mechuvanos lam derachim." You have to have roads and you have to have signs showing the way to the Ir Miklat. The Gemara says, "Tanya, we learned in a brayso, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, Omer Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says," and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Yud Amud Beis.